Yeah.
It's just different.
This is Luke 18. This is Luke 18. Yeah. You didn't save me. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Shirley Ferguson. I'm so excited. I'm a little juiced right now because I started a new series and it is called Let's Talk About It with Dr. Shirley Ferguson. And the reason why I came up with this series is because I've had a lot of questions coming to me and people wanted my opinion on certain things. And so I decided to start this, and it will be coming out on Mondays. And I'm just excited because for someone to ask me questions and I get an opportunity to share with everybody. And so, because there's questions that you might want to ask and nobody's never answered your question. So I have someone that's going to be helping me with this, and we're going to get started on this morning. Go get your cup of coffee, get your tea, and spend a little time with me. So the first question is going to be asked to me. Actually, there are several questions, and as they ask me the questions, I will do my best to answer the questions, my own opinion, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so you can ask me the first question.
Okay, so the first question says, so with my relationship, I go to church, but my boyfriend doesn't go. So how can I get my boyfriend to come to church? And if he doesn't want to, how can I work on the relationship and seek God first?
So they go to church.
Yes, they go to church, but their boyfriend doesn't.
Okay, so let's stop there. Okay, so you go to church and your boyfriend doesn't. And how can you get him to start coming to church? Okay, so the first thing is as you're going to church, you need to get your life committed to God. And once you get your life committed to God, he will start to see a difference in you. And if that change is a good change, which it should be if you're in God, he will want to be able to start coming to church too. We're not here to force people to go to church or make them go to church or anything like that. But if our life is changing and they see a difference in our life and it's for the better, most of the time people want to know, what did you do to get like that? If we start trying to force people to go to church, we're forcing them and they're not really wanting to go. So they're not really going to stay. And if this is your boyfriend, the Bible tells us in Amos 3 that how can two walk together unless they agree? What does that mean? That's with relationships, it's with business, it's with actually your whole life. So if you have two people, you're not going to go down the same path if one is going one direction and the other one is going in another direction. So, but for her, your direction should be always toward God first. Your commitment is to God first before your commitment is to your boyfriend. Because with that, when you're in a place where God has you, God will start speaking to you to let you know if that person is for you or not for you. Sometimes in relationships, we want to force a man to love us or force a woman to love us, right? And if that's not who God has for us, we really don't want to be in that relationship. And I understand it because I was young once, praise the Lord. I was young once and, dating people and all this. And, you find somebody, you feel like, oh, I'm in love. This is the one I want to be with for the rest of my life. But see, one thing we got to understand that God knows more than we know, right? And so God already sees his ending before the beginning. And so with that, you want to always go to God first before we start trying to choose our own mate. Yeah, we look at somebody and yeah, they might look fine or they look good or whatever you're, in your head. But really, we want who God wants for us, because whoever God has for us, it will be easy for them to want to start coming to church and be in the church with you. It's always good to invite him to church. And if he wants to, then let him. And if he doesn't, don't get an attitude, because you don't want to show anything against him or get him mad because he doesn't want to come to church. Really, what that does is shows you where he is in his life. And you want to make sure that you stand strong and with your commitment to God. And when he sees that you're committed to God, that might give him a little light for himself to want to be committed to God.
So for the last part of the question, she asked, and if he doesn't want to, how can I work on my relationship with God? Is it possible that we can be in a relationship with someone that does not want to be with God, or doesn't want to know God, or doesn't want a relationship?
First of all, if you're in a relationship with someone and they tell you they don't want to, your best bet is to break off the relationship, because most of the time, evil really overcomes good most of the time. And so if you're trying to live a good life and he doesn't want to, well, really what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself going in his direction. And most of the time, most people are not strong enough to stand on what they really believe in. And eventually he will, like I said in the beginning, he'll see a difference in you. And you have to, your commitment is really to God. And I said that already first. We can't have a good relationship if how can two walk together unless they agree? So it's not that you're trying to be mean or you don't, love them anymore or what have you, but you want to go to God and just say, God, I really like this guy. And I don't know if he's really for me, but I'm asking you, God, if this is who I'm supposed to be with, that you would help me to be the light to him, or for him to see a difference in me, that he will want to give his life to me. So in that, I'm saying that two people cannot go down the same road if they don't have the same vision, right? Because if you want to go to church and say he wants to go party, well, if you guys are together, how is that going to come together when you're both going down two different roads? You're never going to come together unless you're agreeing on one particular thing.
Okay, so the next question that we have is, how do you develop a routine to where you stay consistent in everything that you do?
Develop a routine and stay consistent. Well, first of all, most people are not consistent all the time. Most of the time they might be, but we're not robots, right? So robots will stay consistent until they circuit break. But for us, we will be consistent. Okay, I'll speak for myself. So I'll be consistent with, say, going to the gym. And, because life does happen and things do happen where we break our consistency. So with me going to the gym, I stay faithful, and then something happens, or say one day I stay up too late, or something happens in the family where I can't go for a couple of days, and then usually I fall off and then I have to start back up again. But the whole point of it is trying your best to stay consistent. And what is that? That's really having discipline. Discipline really is the key. Discipline should be in our lives and everything, because once you have discipline, you will discipline yourself to go to bed. Like for me, I have a certain time that I have to go to bed in order for me to get up super early to go to the gym. So discipline is a major part of being consistent. And then also you have to have that determination on the inside of you. If it's really something that you really want to do, you're going to stay consistent. And yeah, you might fall off, but you're going to get right back on it, and you're going to stay consistent with whatever it is that you want to do. And if it's something really that is a deep desire, and it's something that you really want, it's just like people that are singers or entertainers. They wanted that. They would sing. Or if they were dancers, they would dance. Whatever it is, you put your all into it. And when you start putting your all into it, you're going to find yourself being consistent with whatever that thing is. But if it's something you're really not interested in, most of the time, you do not stay consistent.
So with consistency, if I fall a little short in my consistency, as we all sometimes do,
right?
That doesn't mean that I'm not being consistent in what I'm doing.
No, it's not. It's you're consistent, but if you fell off and you don't get back on, then you're inconsistent. So if you fall off, like all of us do, is getting right back involved in whatever it is that you were doing where you were staying consistent. So it doesn't mean that you're not a consistent person unless you just stop and you don't do it no more. But being consistent and being persistent, you have to get back up. And I don't care how many times you fall in any area of your life, relationships, business, socially, you have to get back up, because you're worth more than you think. So when you know that you're worth more, yeah, I fell off. Okay, I got to get back on. Same thing with me. I lost a whole lot of weight, and business came, and I was traveling, and I was eating out, and I was eating out, and I was eating out. And what happened? I picked up the weight. So I had to, okay, let me stop. Let me get back on. So everybody has that in their lives. So don't ever feel like you're a failure because you fell off. Everybody falls off. Now, they're not going to tell you they fell off because they have pride. I don't have a problem. I fell off, okay, and I'm getting right back up and I'm going to do it again because I'm going to try my best to stay and be consistent the best that I can. And if this is what I want, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
So the next question that we have is on communication in marriages. What is your top 3 advice on having a healthy communication in marriage?
Okay. So with communication in marriage, which I don't really understand the question fully because, of course, you had to communicate it with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or before you became husband and wife. So the communication was there and it was healthy because you guys got together. But even aside of that, having good communication with your spouse is really just talking about things. And that's why it's good to read. It's good to watch news. And so you can have something to have a conversation about. If you don't do anything or you don't have any knowledge of anything, you don't really have communication, right? So as your day goes, you come together and you talk about what happened at work or what happened, whatever. And when it gets to a place, maybe it might get a little heated. Well, we know when it comes down to communicating or we're having an argument or what have you with our spouse, we want to allot time so a person can calm down because you already know when a person is already in the heat of the moment arguing, your flesh rise up and then you want to tell them what you think and what you feel. And all that does is causes more friction, more anger. And then what happens? Somebody ends up walking out the house or saying some things that they shouldn't say. So when one of you are at a high, like a 10, you want to try your best to bring that person down because what happens is that person will start saying stuff that you don't really want to hear. And so I think giving each other space when an argument happens, that it'll give a person time to cool off. Because one thing we have to realize, everybody is different, right? So even if we're married, like with me and my husband, we've been together over 37 years. And even with us, in the beginning, yeah, we had arguments and all that, but it never got to a place where we was fighting and all that kind of stuff. And I do understand some people do get into fights, but really to diffuse all of that is control. You have to learn how to control your temper. You have to learn how to control the conversation, not taking it there to hurt people. Because I realize in counseling marriages that what happens is people want to have the last say or they want to be in control. So when two people that are married, you guys are like one. So yeah, we know that the man is the head and all that, but sometimes I think that's even taken out of proportion. I'm not going to go there because I already know that people be getting their little feelings hurt. But in that relationship, you have to have respect for each other. And if you married and you love each other, well, you have to have concern for other person's feelings. Now, if you just start saying stuff because you want to hurt them, why do you want to hurt somebody that you love? So the communication have to be on a level to where if you see it starting to get out of hand, then you need to sometimes be quiet. I'm a person back in the day, I would say whatever I felt like saying, what I wanted to say. You're not going to shut me down. You ain't going to tell me what, I'm going to do whatever I want. But as I got older, I realized, what is that doing? It's messing everything up. So what I learned to do is I let people say whatever they want to say. And I'm so there now. You can say whatever you want to say. I don't have to receive what you're saying. So it's really up to me. So having a good communication and a healthy one is learning how to communicate. A lot of marriages and even couples really don't even know how to communicate. They talk, but they don't communicate. Because women, I found this in sessions that I do, excuse me, women will think that a man knows what she's thinking, or the man should know how she feels, or a man should know, what she needs. Well, the man doesn't know unless you tell him. So you have to verbalize it and you communicate that. Babe, I need you to start doing this. Babe, can you? But women, I found that a lot of women, they get mad. The man don't even know why you're mad. And you're mad because you thought that he should treat you a certain way when you didn't verbalize it. So even in that, we have to watch that because it really causes arguments because the man don't know what you're thinking. Vice versa. Women don't know what men are thinking, and we need to know what they need or what they want from us. And I'm talking about us married people, okay? We have to know what they need from us or what they want from us so then we can actually give that to them. Because if we don't say anything and we don't verbalize it, well, nobody will know. Everybody walking around the house, mad because you wanted flowers, ladies, and he didn't give you flowers. But did you tell him that you wanted flowers? Well, he should know that I want flowers. Well, he don't know unless you say it. And we think that men should already know all these things. And a lot of men, maybe they don't know all these things. And maybe they never had that to even know how to do. So we have to start having a good, healthy communication by expressing what we need and what we want from each other. That's my best advice that I can give right now.
Okay, so I have a question. If I'm married and it seems as if my husband always gets his point across, but I'm never able to give my point across, how am I able to do that in a healthy way to where he actually hears what I'm saying?
Okay, so first of all, it goes back to communication. So if both of you guys sit down and have a conversation, you communicate that, babe, I've been trying to tell you that I need da-da-da-da, and it seems like you're not hearing me. Now, mind you, the other person, he would have to be in a place where he's willing to listen. And it's not you just, because, women, most women, not all, we argue a lot because we want to get our point across, right? And so, for a man, it just sounds like you're just nagging all the time. You're never happy. And we think by us doing that, it's going to change them. That's not going to change them. So you sit down and you actually talk to him and let him know how you really feel and what you need. Now, if he does not want to listen to you, then we can't make him listen, but he has to be in a place where if he loves you enough, he will sit down, he will listen to you, and he would try his best to make your wishes come to life. And if he doesn't want to do that, and then there are things that you're going to have to, I say pray about, of course, because everything for me is prayer, but pray about so you can know how to talk to him so he will really listen to you. And I'm just going to say this, if your husband or your wife really loves you, they're going to sit down and they're going to listen to you. Now, if you have somebody that's never want to listen to you, then you probably need to pray and see where this is going, because a lot of relationships are just one-sided. And when you're married, you come together as one. So it's really not about the man, it's not about the woman, it's about both of you guys together and having that healthy communication and talking things through and not yelling things. Because when you're yelling, nobody is really listening. It's going over their head. They're just angry. They don't even hear you. And we think, most women feel like if I just fuss at him, he'll do it. If I do, that's not the way to get to them. I'm telling you the secrets is not that. Because women, we have the knowledge to know how to, but I think a lot of times we just don't use it because maybe we weren't taught. And it's fine, but just learning how to talk to your husband or husband talk to your wife, you just have to learn how to communicate. Once you learn how to communicate with each other, you will find that your relationship will be much smoother. Me and my husband, we communicate all the time. Pastor Vic, he talk all the time, right? I listen. But he's a talker. It seems like he don't talk because when people see him, they say, oh, he's quiet. You the main one. No, he talks a lot. And he has a lot of good information. But I'm the person that I listen, and then when I have something to say, then I say it. But as long as we've been together, we've learned how to communicate with each other to where he listens to me and I listen to him, and I try to fulfill what he needs and he fulfills what I need. Not try, we both do it, but we fulfill each other's needs.
The next question is, what advice you have on fixing brokenness for relationships?
Brokenness. Brokenness can come in all different sizes and shapes because people could be broken from like stuff happening in their family. It could be, say your husband cheated on you or your wife cheated on you. So it's a whole lot of dynamics, but I'll just use just being broken, period, because it could have came from childhood. And first of all, if it's in a relationship and say someone did cheat, I'll say that forgiveness really is the answer. Because when you forgive, you know, you hear people say, I forgive them, but I ain't gonna forget. Well, we already know that God gave us all memory, so we're gonna always remember, but it's not to bring back up. So it's just like God, when he forgave us, he doesn't bring back up our sin, right? It's the devil that brings it back up. So let's just use that as a scenario. So even for ourselves, if we've forgiven our spouse for whatever they've done, we have to really forgive them, leave it alone, and keep it moving. But in order for you to forgive, you have to really find it in your heart to forgive, because we all make mistakes. We all, say bad things or do bad things or whatever it is. We all do. And we all have to come to a place of forgiveness, because if you don't forgive, well, it's going to be hard for you, because the Bible says that we have to forgive. And it's not that we don't forget, but we just want to forgive because, like all of us, we all make mistakes. We can't hold people, and we're not the judge, right? So if we're not judging people, once if they ask us for forgiveness and we forgave them, but you have to know if you really forgave them, because when you keep bringing back up old stuff, you really haven't forgiven. And of course, in a relationship, things might come up in your mind, and we know it comes from the devil to try to make us remember what this person did and remember what they said. But if you forgave them, it's over and done with. And then you kind of start fresh. And starting fresh with the relationship, if someone did cheat, it is you coming back together with your spouse and spending time together and communicating, going on a date. I know people say, well, we're already married. Why we got to go on a date? Because there are times you need to have time together. And I'm not just talking about sex, because sex don't fix everything. So just spending time with each other, going out when you don't even have to spend money to go out. You could go to the park. You could go, if you need to, go to get some dinner or go get ice cream. Just go walking. You could go to the gym together. Spending time together, that's a date. Going to get coffee. Yes, going to get coffee. Whatever it is, you just want to have time to spend with each other, and just not talking about you can talk about any and everything, but you're spending time together. So talk about goals, what you guys want to do in your relationship. Talk about your finance. Well, how can we get more finance in the house? Talk about your children. How can we better our children? How can we better our relationship? Those are the things that couples should talk about, and not just let them happen. And then when they happen, we're like trying to figure it out. But if you already have goals, set goals, plan these goals, and when you go out on your date, talk about your relationship. How can we make our relationship better? What can I do to make you more happy? What can I do to make you, so that's good communication, because you're trying to make your relationship better and stronger. Because I'm noticing a lot of relationships, they've been married 1 year and things not going the way that they thought, because we watch TV too much and we think all this stuff on TV is what it's supposed to be. Man, a relationship marriage by itself is a struggle, because why? You have two different people coming together as one. That right there is a struggle. Moving in together, I know a lot of people say, well, we're going to move in together first and, see how it works. Well, in my opinion, I didn't do that. And I don't think that you have to do that, because once you meet people and you're dating people, you figure out what the person is and how they're like. And I can say this, I was talking to someone earlier today, and we were talking about relationships, and I was saying how people, when they first meet each other, they go out and they at their best. Their makeup is done, their hair done, nails done, the dude all clean, shaved up, smelling all good and stuff, And as time go on, you guys are doing all this, and then you figure, oh yeah, I want to marry this person. Oh, they're the love of my life. And then you get married, and then, the next couple of months, you hate the person because the real them comes out, right? And you say they changed. They didn't change. They always been that way. But in the beginning, they were hiding who they really were. And I suggest when you're dating somebody, be you. Be whoever you are. You don't always have to be glamored up, because the person is going to see you early in the morning. When I rise, early in the morning, they're going to see your hair all messed up, no makeup, no lipstick, and you want them to love you for who you are, not of what you portray. So a lot of relationships that I've, came in contact with, they find out in the next 6 months to a year, they say the person changed. Really, honestly, the person did not change. They have been that way all the time, and they just started letting their guard down. Because if you ever notice, when you meet people, and when you start hanging around them a little longer, they get more comfortable, and then the real them really comes out. So I just suggest that the communication, when you start to communicate, you ask questions. Even dating, you should be asking questions and not just, gazing. Oh, no, you need to ask questions. What's your FICO score? Do you got good credit? Look, do you have money in the bank? What kind of business do you have? What's your goal? I mean, we don't even do that no more. It's all about kicking it. No, you need to find these things out, because if you're going to plan on being with this person in marriage, you got to know where they're going. Do they have plans to get a business? Do they have plans to just work a job? Nothing wrong with working a job, because actually working a job gets you money to start a business, right? So having great communication, I don't know if that was that the answer?
I believe that was the answer. But I have a question. So with brokenness, right? Would you consider the term brokenness, is that something that you believe that person that got the brokenness from the relationship or whatever, there's something that they have to work on within the inside of themselves?
If this question that the person gave is about the relationship, and then because like I said in the beginning, brokenness can come from a whole lot of areas. So the brokenness, if it is a relationship, the person that has been broken have to find themselves again. So when they find them, because what happens is we get lost in a marriage, and if we have kids, we get lost. We don't even know who we are anymore, because we're trying to run the house, we're trying to work, we're taking care of kids, we're trying to please our husband. And so what happens, we lose ourselves, and then we get broken because we feel like we're not achieving anything. And that's why it's good to take time for yourself and really look in yourself, because the Bible tells us to examine ourselves. And that's just not in Christianity, but really you should examine yourself. What happened that caused you to start giving up on yourself? You have to really search these things out. And it might not feel good, because sometimes we might find some stuff that we've done that we lost ourselves, but it's okay. You just have to find yourself again. Know the things that you want to do, accomplish, or the things that you might have lost along the way with having kids. Pick those things back up. Your desire. If you're a painter and you really love painting, get back into that. When you have time by yourself, paint. Or if you're a reader, whatever it is, you have to find yourself. And really, of course, we know that finding ourselves, we have to have God in our lives. But finding yourselves, you have to go back to where you know you were, and kind of piece those things back together. How did I get broken? What caused me to get broken? And even in brokenness, once you find who you are again, you start to put those pieces back together, and God will help you with that. And when you start to put those pieces back together, never forget, because what happens is you'll forget about that brokenness. And what I mean about forgetting is not to keep that with you, but to know that you remember this happened to me the last time and I got broken. So now it's not like you're putting up a guard, but it's you being more aware, having wisdom and kind of, discernment. Because when you start to have these feelings or these things start coming up again, you have to be quick to know, oh, okay, this is what's happening. It's trying to come up again. No, I'm not letting it. And that's another thing that we miss in ourselves, is that we don't fight hard enough for ourselves to be happy. And so we don't put in enough time for ourselves. And we have to do that. There is nobody on this earth can make you happy. I'll tell you why. Because all of us are human. All of us make mistakes. We will let you down, because we all have our own things that we're dealing with, right? But you have to be that fighter on the inside of you. If you want your day to be good, because the Bible says that this is the day that the Lord has made. That's one of my favorite scriptures. I will rejoice and be glad in it. My day is already blessed. But if I wake up and my day, say I stumbled out of the bed, I hit my toe, and we always say, man, and then we go to the car, we spill coffee all over us, and now our day, my day is jacked. Well, you're speaking your day. But you have the power and the authority to change your day, but you have to know that. So even within the brokenness, you have to know that you have the capability to get unbroken, put the pieces back together, so now you can get back on the road. And it's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but with prayer, really, and fasting, really, you really get to start to see where you fell off, and then you start to pay attention to these signs when they start to come back up. So with all the questions that were asked and the answers that were given, I hope it helps someone. So please remember to subscribe. Also, turn on your notification bell. And if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. So go to my website, www.shirleyhferguson.com, and you can scroll through and see if there's anything on there, which I know it is, that you would want to purchase. The main book is Walking in Wholeness. I'm telling you, that book is excellent, and it's not because I wrote it, but it really is a good book. Everyone that has read it told me how easy it is and how they understand it, because God has given me clarity, and he's given me to where when I talk to people, it's simple. And also remember, getting free from people is the key to unlock your full potential. Until next time, I'll see you on my next video.